Presidential delegation to Bauchi after windstorms devastate state capital. Action Aid calls for more attention to national security. Pope Francis criticizes Trump on immigration policy. And in sports, it's Senegal over Poland.
This is ANN News.
I'm Rotimi Akintunde. A presidential delegation is on ground in Bauchi State Capital to assess the damage caused by windstorms that rummaged through the city. 1,500 houses are reported to have been destroyed. 8 persons are confirmed dead, more than 100 others injured. A statement by the president's media aide, Garba Shehu, says the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has begun mobilizing relief items for displaced persons. Action Aid of Nigeria has appealed to security agencies nationwide to redouble their efforts in curbing crime in the country. The group has decried the increasing rate of insecurity nationwide and has called on security agencies to work together and share information that could enhance the country's security. ANN correspondent Samson Orimoloye reports from Abuja.
Recent bomb explosion in Damboa in Borno State has continued to raise many unanswered questions. While the death toll has risen to about 20 persons, the general consensus is that security agencies must step up their game.
It's not a personal thing, issues of security. The life of Nigerians matter. Every life counts, and only when we invest in those lives can we make them special.
The National Security Advisor did say that there was lack of synergy between and among all the security agencies in Nigeria, and that is why it's been very difficult for the government to tackle the spate of killings, the acts of terrorism and banditry that have been going on in different parts of the country.
The Action Aid of Nigeria at the State of the Nation briefing in Abuja says government must be proactive in tackling crime. It also wants security agencies to live up to the expectations of millions of Nigerians.
We call on all security agencies to observe neutrality and professionalism, while at the same time calling on the security agencies to intensify training and intelligence sharing, which must include all stakeholders within the Nigerian security architecture.
We do not want to see a situation where the various security arms will be used for political purposes or instruments of politics by the powers that be. We have seen this before. We are seeing it in some situations now, and it will not look good for our democracy if security agencies and organizations are then deployed to achieve political ends.
The Action Aid is also calling on the different security agencies to form a synergy, especially in the area of information sharing.
That was ANN correspondent Samson Orimoloye reporting from Abuja. The 16.5 million naira corruption trial against former Inspector General of Police Sunday Aidero and the former police commissioner John Obani went nowhere yesterday as the trial judge did not show up. Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) had charged the 2 former police officials on 5 counts of fraud and conspiracy that involves an alleged 16.5 million naira fraud. ICPC charged that the 2 used their positions to perpetrate the fraud and place £500 million into fixed deposit accounts. Borno State Police Command is confirming reports that the town of Gajaram was attacked on Tuesday morning by suspected Boko Haram members. They say it was only 3 days prior that suicide bombers attacked Damboa. More than 40 persons were killed and at least 75 injured in that spree. Lake Chad Basin Commission military intelligence directors are in Abuja to deliberate on a strategic partnership that is designed to tackle terrorism. The conference, organized by the Defense Intelligence Agency and the U.S. AFRICOM, will also deliberate on modalities to share high-level security information. ANN correspondent Peter Ishaya reports.
A representative of security agencies from member states of the Lake Chad Basin Commission. Central to the theme for the gathering is the ability to share security information aimed at tackling terrorism.
This conference shall therefore provide the best ideas to build sustainable and dependable partnership mechanisms for better understanding of the evolving dynamics and dimensions of the threats we face, as well as generating and sharing essential intelligence to counter the threats.
The product of this conference will suggest practical ways to tackling the dynamics of insecurity in the region.
Those in attendance agree that the military must partner with local communities to win the war against terror. They say this is only possible if there is real-time information on terrorist activities.
The role of intelligence in restoring peace in the Lake Chad region cannot be overemphasized. This feat geared towards ensuring security for meaningful development cannot be attained by a single country. There will be the need for exchange of information, intelligence, and close cooperation between affected countries, sub-regional and regional organizations.
It matters not what other capabilities we bring to the field so long as our intelligence system is faulty. In recognition of this reality, we are committed to ensuring that our intelligence system works across the multinational spectrum.
That was NN's Peter Shai reporting from Abuja. The increasing rate at which school children and teenagers in Lagos State get addicted to drugs is of great concern to the government. As a result, a new initiative has been started by the government to tackle the problem head-on. The state has launched on Thursday a campaign it calls Lagos State Cake Against Drug Abuse, or LASCADA. State Commissioner for Youth and Social Development, Agbola Dabiri, says the government will not fold its arm and allow drugs to truncate the future of young ones in the state. The stage is set for a symbolic 1,000-man walk against drug abuse on Thursday.
It's not something that can be fought within one day. It's something we're going to fight. It's a fight for a long time because it has gone deep into our society. And it has faces. The main one is to scare those that use these drugs, not even to target those that sell alone. You need to let them understand the implication of using these drugs.
The new Code of Corporate Governance in Nigeria is set to take effect on January the 1st, 2020. As a result, the exposure draft of the new Financial Reporting Council has been unveiled. FRC Executive Secretary Daniel Asapohai said in Lagos that the philosophy of the new code is principle-based and less prescriptive than the old one. He said the primary mission of FRC is to promote trade and investment in Nigeria.
With the new management and board that was appointed to the council in January 2017, we restarted work early this year to address the issues that led to the suspension of the previous standard or the previous code so that it can be reintroduced. We set up a 15-man technical committee that have been working since January, and just yesterday I'm pleased to announce that we did formally release the code in draft form.
Meanwhile, ICC Nigeria Chairman Babatunde Savage said there is need to examine how to adopt the highest standards of corporate governance to achieve long-term value for all.
ICC is the only member of the United Nations, only a body, apart from nations, that is a member of the United Nations. And they advise the United Nations on most of the issues that have to do with business. And it's only arbiter between the United Nations and in any part of the world. So there's hardly any of the rules that
Leaders of the All Progressives Congress were in Ado-Ekiti on Tuesday to lend a hand to Kayode Fayemi's campaign for governor of Ekiti State. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, national leader of the party, Bola Tinubu, and national chairman John Odige Oyegun were in attendance. Tinubu called on Ekiti residents to sack the current ruling party in the state, the People's Democratic Party, during governorship elections that will hold in July. Many APC governors were also there.
Faithful leader, astute manager of men and resources, youthful, energetic, mobilizer for excellence, indefatigable agent of change.
Stay with us. We will return shortly after these messages.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down. Keep walking to the left. Yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on, so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
There is a new all-news network on the scene in Nigeria to give news from a purely news perspective and to promote free information flow across Africa. African News Network, ANN, fresh views, unbiased, bold, with a purely African view. Watch ANN News on MITV. ANN, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now we'll go around the continent. Authorities say at least 18 people were killed by flooding in Ivory Coast commercial capital Abidjan on Tuesday after intense rainfall overnight. A rushing flood struck the tropical lagoon-side city of about 5 million people in the early hours, carrying away cars, destroying homes, and leaving hundreds stranded. In a provisional toll posted on its website, the government said 18 people had died. Another 115 others had been rescued and taken to shelters. Ivory Coast, the world's top cocoa producer and Francophone West Africa's largest economy, is in the middle of its rainy season, and meteorologists have forecast heavy rains until late June. Human Rights Watch HRW says more than 1,000 people in northeast Mozambique have been left homeless by armed attacks in recent months. The army launched a response to these attacks, but Human Rights Watch has criticized the heavy-handed approach. Local people say they are equally afraid of the gangs behind the attacks and the army response. Fire has wreaked havoc on a recently renovated tourist lodge in Mozambique's Barra Beach. The fire was caused by an electrical shock circuit and destroyed at least 20 houses, including 2 lodges and some holiday homes on Tuesday. Local media are reporting that the fire spread from a kitchen. The damage is estimated at $500,000. Renovations had just been completed after a cyclone tore through the area last year. Heavy rains on Monday night have left hundreds of residents homeless in Accra, Ghana. The flooding trapped residents in their homes. Vehicles were submerged and properties were destroyed. Analysts say the flooding has again exposed the poor drainage system in Accra. They say floods are very common in Ghana's capital. Authorities say the country needs about $700 million to fix the problem permanently. Meanwhile, the Ghana Meteorological Agency has warned of more heavy rains over the next 2 months. The The United Nations Refugee Agency has said that at least 69 million people were forcibly displaced last year. They had fled from wars, violence and persecutions. The UNHCR says the highest regional refugee increase was in Africa. This was mainly driven by South Sudan's civil conflict, which has forcefully displaced 1 million people. The agency added that the number of internally displaced people in the ongoing political crisis in DR Congo has doubled in 1 year. Zimbabwean former President Robert Mugabe was reportedly rushed to Singapore after his health deteriorated 2 weeks ago. Sources say his blood pressure suddenly rose to dangerous levels and he had trouble with his eye, which had previously been diagnosed with a cataract. Mugabe ruled this Southern African country for 37 years. He was ousted from power late last year. Mali's defense minister has admitted that soldiers were involved in killings in the country's unstable center. This comes after a mass grave was discovered, which appeared to back up accusations of summary executions by government troops. Defense Minister Tiena Coulibaly says authorities were firmly resolved to fight impunity and get soldiers to observe humanitarian conventions. A claim by former tennis champion Boris Becker that he holds diplomatic status on behalf of the Central African Republic CAR has brought confusion in many circles. Becker confirmed that his appointment as a diplomat by the CAR protected him from legal action in a bankruptcy case. A foreign ministry official says the passport CAR embassy in Belgium issued Becker was fake. CAR Foreign Minister Charles Amel Dobain says an inquiry was being launched into the matter. We will be back after these messages. Stay with us.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network, ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, Lindsay, you alright? Keep walking down, keep walking to the left. Yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on, so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In international news, China says Donald Trump's threat to impose fresh tariffs on Chinese goods is an act of blackmail. It has warned it would retaliate in kind should Trump make good on his threats. Should the two giants act on their threats, it would push them both closer to a trade war. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says the number of refugees worldwide is, quote, simply unthinkable, end quote. She also says that people fleeing their home countries for greener pastures is a central global question of our time. The United Nations Refugee Agency reported on Tuesday that nearly 17 million people were fleeing from wars, violence and persecution and were forcibly displaced last year. And that's a record for the 5th straight year. Merkel said on Wednesday in Berlin that Germany stands by both its obligation to protect people fleeing war and terrorism and its commitment to keeping Europe together. The European Union has been deeply divided over how to respond to migration. Merkel herself has been getting calls from within her own government to turn back some migrants unilaterally at the border. Divers have been searching an Indonesian lake for more than 190 persons that have been missing since a ferry sank in the Sumatran lake early this week. The distraught relatives slammed the Indonesian government for not enforcing basic safety measures on passengers' boat and pleaded for a bigger search effort for the missing persons. The wooden ferry was overcrowded more than 5 times its passenger capacity and it had no manifest. Pope Francis has criticized President Donald Trump's administration's policy of separating migrant families at the Mexican border. The Pope says populism is not the answer to the world's immigration problems. The Pope said he supported recent statements by U.S. Catholic bishops who called the separation of children from their parents, quote, contrary to our Catholic values and immoral, end quote. Meanwhile, President Trump says he would back both U.S. House immigration bills as separation crisis grows. Trump told Republican lawmakers on Tuesday that he would back either of the immigration bills making their way through the House of Representatives as the outcry grew over his administration's separation of immigrant parents and their children at the U.S.-Mexico border. We'll take another break and be right back. Stay with us.
Whether in your house, at your office, on your phone or online, we are there. We have the facts behind the headlines. We cut to the chase with the news you really need. We cover every angle. We are the bigger, better news network. We are African News Network. ANN. Watch ANN News on MITV from a truly African spirit.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down. Keep walking to the left. Yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to sports. Senegal has become the first African country to shine at the World Cup in Russia. They trounced Poland 2-1 in Moscow on Tuesday. Poland were widely tipped to qualify for the knockout rounds but are in danger of making an early exit. Japan beat 10-man Colombia 2-1 in Group H to become the first Asian side to beat a South American team at the World Cup. But the four-time Asian champions made their extra man count after Colombia midfielder Carlos Sanchez became the first player to get a red card in Russia. A clear free kick in the 39th minute brought Colombia's equalizer, but Japan secured a 73rd minute winner. Finally this evening, South African middle distance Ronnie Caster-Semenya will challenge a female classification rule imposed by the International Association of Athletics Federations, IAAF, at the Court of Arbitration for Sports. IAAF says the medication taken by the double Olympic and triple world 800 meters champion to lower her higher than normal levels of naturally produced testosterone gives her an unfair advantage. That does it for us this evening on ANN News. Thanks for joining us. For details on these and other stories, visit our website, annafrica.net, and our social media platforms, ANN Africa TV. I am Rotimi Akintunde. Have a pleasant evening.
remember the passion on Rashidi Yekini's face when he scored our first goal ever at our very first World Cup. Remember Agawa's goal and his thrilling acrobatic flips and how we joined in the celebration with excitement. Another World Cup year, another chance to go all the way, to seize the moment, our moment. Catch every moment of all 64 games of the World Cup live on HD for just 1,300 Naira on Star Times, official broadcast partner of the Russia 2018 FIFA World Cup. Subscribe your Star Times decoder to stand a chance to win 1 million Naira and many more consolation prizes every week. Win more with give and take jackpot prize of 15 million Naira. Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Hi there, my name is Smart Oshoko. Join Obonga Smart, your Naso I Siam host every Friday. So make una join me, Obonga Smart, every Friday as I go dey sama una segments like Obonga Guest, Doctor for House, Nigerian Pikin, Africana, small chickly dance music and plenty more. Mr. Smart, abeg, I don't talk, my throat don't dry. Make I summer your water. Go ahead. Don't miss this program every Friday on MITV. Join me there. Make una buy Gario.
It's the biggest sporting event on earth, so don't just watch it, experience it. With all 64 games live and in glorious HD, world-class commentary and expert analysis on up to 6 SuperSport channels. Connect with greatness today and get this limited offer of a DSTV HD decoder and dish kit plus 1 month's DSTV compact subscription for only 8,500 Naira.
DSTV in particular, I love.
There are many theories regarding when and where music originated. Many agree that music began even before man existed. Historiographers point out that there are 6 periods of music, and each period has a particular style that greatly contributed to what music is today. The second half of the 16th century witnessed the beginnings of the tradition which many music lovers readily associate with the normal feel of classical music. This was also something of a golden period for choral composition, as a seemingly endless flow of a cappella masses, motets, anthems, psalms and madrigals flowed from the pens of the masters of the age.